A lot of people will travel from the UK to France on a fishing holiday to try and break PBs and catch big carp. Well, in this video, we're going to cover 5 things that you guys should remember if you're heading out to France for a carp fishing holiday. The first thing you must do is make sure that you have the right permission to fish where you intend to go. In France, they have what's called a carte de pêche. Don't know if I pronounced that right, but basically it's a fishing license. Now you'll need one of these fishing licenses if you're fishing on any public body of water, you know, like a public reservoir, a canal or river or something. However, if it's privately owned, like where we are today at Gigantica on the Road Lake, this place we don't need a fishing license for. We just need to ensure that we've paid the owner and got our our ticket to fish. If you are fishing on public waters, then be certain to check the local regulations for night fishing and other sort of rules and stuff, because it is in some cases different to the UK. I know on a few of the public lakes that I've visited in France, they've had all sorts of strange rules about when you can fish to, or you have to reel in, or you're not allowed to camp. There's all sorts of rules like that, so just be sure to check those over. You won't normally encounter any of those difficult rules if you're fishing on private carp fisheries like where we are today. The second thing that I want to talk about is bait. Now, we've all seen people stocking up on bait before a trip to France, and rightly so. It is worth bringing plenty of bait, but before you just chuck 100 kilos of pellet and boilie in the back of your van, check the fishery that you're headed to, ask bailiffs if you can, or check their website and stuff like that to try and work out whether you really are going to need that bait on the venue you're visiting. Where we are at the moment, it's a pretty well stocked lake. They go through a lot of bait, and if you want to catch loads of fish, it helps to bring plenty of boilie with you, or potentially buy it on site like you can here. Other venues though, maybe a smaller place with a lower stock, a more tricky location, you're not going to get through loads and loads of bait. So rather than just thinking, I'm going to France, I need to bring lots and lots of bait with me, check the particular fishery you're going to, see if you can do any research before the trip and work out the quantities you'll need. One thing I will say though, it's better to have more bait than you need than less. Maybe you want to bring some fresh bait, but then also bring some dry stuff in in your car, or some shelf life bait that you can. It doesn't matter; it's not going to get wasted. Just in case you run out. The last thing that you want to do is have an amazing session, be catching loads of fish, run out of bait on day 3, and you can't find anywhere to get any more. That would be a pain. So you've got your bait. The next thing that you want to think about is your tackle, your rigs. What sort of stuff are you going to bring? Well, it's a myth that you just have to use massive hooks, super strong lines, and really fancy rigs out in France. They're still carp, they feed the same, they behave the same. In some cases, 1 minute. It's always when you're trying to record dialogue and chat to the camera that the rods go off. But I was talking about rigs. The rigs that I've used on this session are actually identical to the rigs that I'm using back home when I'm river fishing or fishing for decent sized carp in the UK. You don't have to go and use something different from what you're comfortable using and what you're confident using on your local venue. The only thing I'd say is that if you're going somewhere with really big fish, if at home you're catching doubles and 20s and you're going somewhere with 80 pounders, then yeah, you might want to step things up just a little bit, scale it up a little bit stronger just to make sure you land them. But you don't have to reinvent anything or use some latest wonder rig. On this session, I'm literally using basics ready tied hair rigs straight out the pack, and it's doing fine for me. Now this is where it falls off. I'm going to try and get this one in the net, and then we'll cover the next topic of the video. It's always nice when you get interrupted by a carp. The next thing that I wanted to mention was not feeling like you need to rush when you first arrive. So let's say you turn up at your lake you're going to fish, you do the draw, or you choose your swim or whatever. It's tempting to be like, oh, I've got to get 3 rods out, I've got to put loads of bait out and get it all set up ready because I want to catch fish right away. And that's true, you do want to catch fish right away. But if you've got 5 days, 7 days at the lake, the last thing you want to do is rush the rods out onto a spot that you think's good, but later on in the trip you actually realise, oh, it's actually a load of weed on the bottom there and I'm not presented. Or the fish aren't really holding up in that area, I should have started fishing in a different sort of part of the swim. So my one of the biggest bits of advice is that when you get to the swim, take your time. Set up your stuff, keep your eyes on the water, work out where the fish are showing, and then do plenty of work, you know, with your marker rod or just your lead on the end of some braid. Cast it around, feel the bottom, work out what the depths are like. Find an area where you can present your rig and not have it, you know, in deep, horrible silt or caught up in weeds. And yeah, take your time, get your rods out perfectly, feel confident in them, and then you can wait for a bite, hopefully. And the last thing, which I want to mention, is to keep your expectations under control. Yes, we all want to go to France and catch 60-pounders, catch loads of them, but fishing in France is just like fishing in England. It still can be challenging and it's not guaranteed. Yeah, on this trip we've caught fish over 50 pounds, but we're still enjoying catching these smaller ones too. Anyway, hopefully this video helped you. We'll see you guys on fishing tutorials again soon.